Hi, Carl Knutson here with Dick Trask and Jim Piper, road agent, select board, and we're here to talk about some articles on the upcoming, on the warrant, the 26-27 warrant that'll be voted on, is it the 14th?
May 14th.
May 14th. And they have to do with the Highway Department. We're talking about Articles 18, 19, and 20. I'm going to read one of the articles, and then we'll talk about that, try to explain what it is, and then we'll move on from there. Hopefully this will be helpful to you. Article 18 is for purchasing a truck with plow and sander, and it shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $122,935 for the purchase of a vehicle comparable to the town's current Ford F-550 with plow and sander for the Highway Department. Such funds to come from the June 30th, 2026 unassigned fund balance for this purpose, with no amount to be raised from taxation. And for this article and the other couple of articles, a majority vote is required. And just if you fellows want to talk to this article and why people should or should vote for it.
Well, so yeah, no, I talked to the actual vehicle itself, Carl. This is a 2012. It served the department very well. We've used it up until recently, but because of issues mainly with the DEF system, which is diesel exhaust fluid, and it's all to do with the emissions of the engine gives off. This vehicle currently is parked up and is a little bit of an ornament as it's effectively gone into what they call a limp home mode. It runs, but it will literally drive at approximately 3 miles an hour. So we have had issues with this before recently, but it's got to the point where we were using it for winter, but it got towards the end of winter and this issue happened, and I said just park it up for now. We can make do without it. So it was with on the CIP a 2 or 3 years ago. I can't remember when, and we pushed it out. It was actually still a very good truck. So we've got to the point now where we really need to address this, and it is up for replacement.
Mm-hmm.
We really do need to replace it. The emissions that it was giving off were fairly toxic. So it's at that point of its life. We just need to get this issue addressed, or we need to look into it. I will do that come July, because obviously see what the actual issue is and see what is involved, mainly cost-wise, to get it up and running. Once it is up and running and the issue sorted out, it is actually quite a good truck, but it's giving off, it is giving us regular headaches. So we're at the point of its life where we need to replace it.
So would you keep that one and use the new one?
No. So my recommendation would be to sell it on,
Mm-hmm.
whether that go through an auction, whether it's sold privately, that would be up to the select board to decide that.
Ballpark cost to repair it.
But it could be anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000. With going by the experience that we had with one of the other bigger trucks this year with similar sort of issues, the repair costs were just getting quite eye-watering. But whereas this one, it served its purpose. It can still be a good truck. It's just got to get the issue sorted out.
Yeah, I'm here to basically talk about the funding. This and all 3 of these warrant articles we are taking out of the unexpended fund balance. The Budget Committee has asked us to spend down the unexpended fund balance. The unexpended fund balance is actually like the town savings account. Our savings account is a little bit higher than what is recommended by the Department of Revenue. We're somewhere between 13 and 14%, and they recommend somewhere between 8 and 10% is really what the selectmen are looking to have our unexpended fund balance at. So the Budget Committee has requested that we do spend it down, and we are using it to purchase the equipment that we need. The reason why we need this equipment is because about 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, we switched from a elected road agent to a appointed supervisor of the roads. And currently we have no equipment that allows us to dig a hole, and we have a couple of older trucks that need to be replaced. This one has been scheduled in the CIP to be replaced for approximately 6 years, and it's just at the time that it needs to be replaced. It's been scheduled. We've planned for it to be replaced. But we are using the unexpended fund balance instead of the CIP to replace it. So, and that's because the money is in the unexpended fund balance.
Where would this equipment traditionally be used? I know on the road, I assume, but any particular types of jobs?
There's no one particular type
Okay.
of job. It's a general purpose vehicle. It has a dump body. So outside of the winter months,
Yep.
it carries a lot of the tools that we need to do day-to-day stuff. And then obviously winter time, the sander unit would be mounted in the back of it, and just do snow removal.
So we're talking about these articles today, and you would encourage the people to please
Yes.
vote for this. Okay. Let's go to Article 19, unless you have any more to say about 18. Article 19, purchase a six-wheel dump truck. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $278,672 for the purchase of a six-wheel dump truck with a plow, wing, and sander for the Highway Department. Such funds to come for the June 30th, 2026 unassigned fund balance for this purpose with no amount to be raised from taxation. This vehicle is being purchased through a grant, and the town will be reimbursed up to $219,738. The majority vote is required on this as well. What would you like to say about that one?
So this is the bigger dump truck. The previous one was a 550 and would be replaced like for like, so what they would class as a 1 ton, I believe. This one is the bigger six-wheel dump truck. The one we're looking to replace, or that we got the grant funding for, it served us very, very well, but it is now 24 years old. It still runs. It got through this winter, but it's just at the point of its life. It's old, it's tired. You spend money on regular maintenance, but the rust kicks in, the body's falling apart. So there was a grant available out there. I put this through into a grant and see if it met the requirements. You supply. I worked with our previous town administrator, Deb Doda. You have to write a long description about the truck, what it did, the sort of miles, hours, fuel it would use, and also they want to see a lot of pictures of the truck. And then it goes through the process, and they look at it, and then they determine. He said, yeah, and they came back and said, yes, this is eligible for grant funding, and this is an 80-20, so it pays 80% of the cost of the truck. So I then went out and I got 3 quotes from local truck dealers, and also 2 quotes from outfitters who would do the plough outfitting as well. And then you have to present that to the grant people so they can see exactly what's involved, and then they make their decision. And then they came back to us and said, yep, you are successful with this application.
And the old one could be sold for scrap, or
so with the old, but there is a particular criteria that you have to follow, and there's no two ways about this. So the truck being replaced has to be disabled to the point where you have to drill a 3-inch hole in the block, in the engine block, and one of the chassis rails has to be cut in half. Yeah, it's unfortunate again because you know, it could possibly be a truck which could be sold on and used, because it does work if somebody wanted to go down that route. But in order to get the grant, this is what has to be done, and people and somebody from the grant association, people would come. They would have to come out and actually witness.
That's a federal government
Yes.
requirement.
Yeah. And so obviously that the VIN number associated with that vehicle would then, through the DOT system, it would be no more.
Let's talk grants. So the grant that we applied for is the grant that was funded by the Volkswagen. They had the issue with the diesel, the clean diesel, when they overestimated the cleanness of their vehicles. They funded a grant program with the money that they had to pay in fines and penalties, and that's where the money came for this grant. And because of that, the older vehicles that qualify have to be disabled, just like the cash for clunkers. I don't know if you remember that. But we also did apply for the grant on the previous 550 truck on the previous warrant article, and that did not qualify. And that did not qualify because that was the first generation of the DEF. And now what they're trying to do is get all diesel trucks to be have the DEF system on there, even though it makes the trucks work not as efficiently. But you know. Anyway, we're required to do that. So as the rest of our trucks pretty much have the DEF on them, and what's going to happen is the grants are not going to be available anymore. So we're utilizing this grant to purchase this truck while it's available, because all the trucks are going to have the DEF system on it, and we're not going to be eligible to get. They're not going to be fall under the grant process. So.
It's not just trucks that have this system. All heavy plants,
all diesel engines.
All diesel engines above a specific horsepower.
That's from a, did you say Volkswagen settlement?
Yes, yeah. Volkswagen settlement. Yeah.
Wow.
Right. And so when what we're required to do is purchase the truck outright, okay, and then we get reimbursed the grant money. Okay, and when we get reimbursed the grant money, that money goes right back in to the unexpended fund balance.
But there is a scrap value to this, so we keep the truck, and then we can deal with it, you know, as the select board wish. So you could weigh it in and effectively get the scrap value. However, the actual plough, the wing, and the sander, yes, they're old, but they are in very good working order.
So you can keep them?
So, no, they could be sold on, because the new truck, it would have a new plough, wing and sander, so this current one could be sold.
So you would encourage?
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
We need to take advantage of the grant. It would be foolish not to take advantage of the grant.
All right, next is Article 20. Purchase a wheeled excavator. Shall the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $269,111 for the purchase of a wheeled excavator for the Highway Department? Such funds to come from the June 30th, 2026 unassigned fund balance for this purpose, with no amount to be raised from taxation, and a majority vote is required for that. So, yeah.
So this particular article, this is a little bit of a hot topic about this particular type of machine, about the excavator. First of all, I want to address an error I made back in the Budget Committee's public hearing in last month on the 13th. I hadn't realised I'd done this until the following day, but they asked me how often it would be used if we were successful in getting it, and I said 2 to 3 days a month. I didn't realise I said that. That was a big mistake. It's actually 2 to 3 days a week that I would use this particular type of machine. Anyway, the reason why I'm asking for a wheeled one as opposed to a rubber tracked one is because this can be driven on the road just like any loader, any backhoe, any truck. If we were to have a rubber tracked excavator, that would require a trailer, which then would require an A license for us to move. None of us in the highway department have an A license. Only a B license, CDLB, is required for this job. So that's a very expensive thing. I mean, so there would need to be at least 2 of us that would have to have this. In the event anybody is away or off sick, we've got somebody else who can move this around. So that was the reason for this particular type of machine. That was the main reason, because of the A license and moving it around.
Seems to me what you're saying means that you're saving time.
Yes, I mean that is an aspect. Absolutely, yes. You know, you can just jump in this thing and you can take it wherever you need it. That's the whole point. And also because as a highway department, we are working off the road. Obviously there is the town easement with these roads. We don't go off-road. Very, very rarely do you need to go off-road. We're always working off the side of the road.
Yeah, just looking at thinking that's an incredible amount of time just to move the thing,
Right.
So,
You need
and time is
money.
Everything has its pros and cons, and on the pro side of this, yes, it's quick, it's easy, it's straightforward. On the negative side of things, it is more expensive than a rubber tracked excavator or even a backhoe. It has been said before, why not have a backhoe? I said this particular type of machine it's a lot quicker, it's a lot more efficient. I believe, in my experience, I've used both, and in my experience, it's a more efficient machine.
It's a matter of saving time and money. That's all it is. It's a matter of saving time and money. It's efficiency. If you compare it to a tracked vehicle, you're pulling the vehicle to a location where on a trailer, then you're backing it off the trailer. You have to park the trailer. You have to flag the trailer. You have to, instead of jumping into the wheeled excavator, driving it to the location and utilizing it right there on the road. Now there are occasions that we will need to go off-road, and we have 4 or 5 contractors in town that have have tracked excavators, and we can easily rent them. If we had a tracked excavator, if we bought one, then we would have to get at least 2 more people in our staff to do that. So efficiency-wise, seeing 90 to 95% of our work is done from the road, we would want to make 90 to 95% of our work the most efficient as possible. It doesn't make sense to make 95% of our work less efficient in case we might use it 5% of the time. That's illogical. So it's a matter of efficiency.
I mean, it's just the fact that we need an excavator. I've hired over the past couple of years. I've hired one. We have it for 6 months or so. But it's the fact of actually having something which can actually dig. I mean, yes, we have the loader there, but as it suggests, that's a loader. It just shovels and it loads. But when you need to reach off the side of the road, into ditches or down in front of culverts and stuff like that, you can't get there with a loader, and it's also just actually being just equipped with the equipment that's necessary for day-to-day use. I speak to other road agents in surrounding towns. They all have their own excavator of some shapes. There are a couple of towns who still use a backhoe, but they've had them for many years and they're not ready to change them yet. There are other towns who have actually looked into the wheeled excavator. There is one that has gone to one. A lot of them have tracked machines, but they effectively all have an excavator.
What's the difference between an excavator and a backhoe? Is it the way
So, I mean, a backhoe, that is to an excavator. So It has a hoe on the back, so you can dig and you can excavate, but it also has the loader on
Yep.
the front, so it's a universal machine.
Imagine they're pretty expensive to rent.
Everything is, yes,
Yeah.
yes, they all can be. It depends what you the attachments that come with it and what attachments you would need in order to do the work. So you always, so if you were to have just regular digging buckets and a shovel bucket, it would be less money than actually having a backhoe with a 4-in-1 bucket on the front or a claw bucket on the back, which are worth their weight in gold. You can do so much with these things, but you can get all these attachments for
A lot of versatility.
all these pieces of equipment.
So Dick, do you have anything?
Sure, I have one thing I want to talk about. So let's use the primary example of why we need an excavator on site. The primary reason why we need an excavator on site, if let's say it started raining today, let's say it rained for 3 days, and let's say a branch was flowing down one of the streams, crosses a culvert, and then more branches go across a culvert and water starts backing up.
Lane Road example, maybe.
Yeah, Lane Road, for example. Rod and Gun Club Road, any one of these culverts, okay? There's one machine that you're going to use to do that, and that is an excavator. You need to have an excavator on site to get down there, to reach down into that culvert, yank out that debris. And if you don't do that, the water is going to push that road away, and you're going to lose your road. Okay? If you don't have one on site, you're going to try and rent one. It's been raining for 3 days, so every road agent around who doesn't have access to one is picking up the phone and calling. Every contractor who is in a very similar situation and needs one immediately is also calling around to find one. If you don't, you might be able to get a local contractor to come out there, but you better have the money in your budget. If it happened today, we don't have the money in our budget today to do this. I mean, we don't want our road agent to show up and go, well, I don't have the money in my budget to do anything, so let me get a good picture of what my road washing away. I mean, you got to have the tools on site to do the job, and you need an excavator. It's more a lot of the work that we need to do is ditch work on the side of the road, and somebody may argue that we need a backhoe would be better to do the ditch work. Well, no, because with a backhoe you would scoop, put the dirt into a back of a truck. Then you would lift up your feet, move like this, back it up, move over 3 feet. Okay, put your feet back down, scoop. Dump it into a truck, and that's how you go down the road. With a wheeled excavator, the bucket spins. So you can spin it, you go scoop, dump, scoop, move forward 2 feet, scoop, dump. I mean, it's half the time. It makes all the sense in the world to have an excavator over a backhoe. That's just the way it is.
Anything else?
I think that's pretty much covered it, Carl.
Okay. Well, thanks, Dick and James, for being here today and explaining a little bit about a lot of stuff here. Very important to have a good highway department and have equipment that can be used on a regular basis and on a timely basis. So if you all voters would consider these articles carefully, and thank you for watching. Thanks for being here and explaining these things.
Thank you, Carl.